Thank you, Mrs. Hall. And now 1 minute to Mr. Straker.
Pane předsedo, dámy a pánové, na hodnocení Kodaňského summitu a
Thank you, President, ladies and gentlemen. In order to be able to properly assess the Copenhagen summit, then you need a lot of common good sense and I think a lot of reliable environmental and economic data which would prove to you that there is no global warming, but if there is, then that this, I think, is beyond the realms of mankind to be able to influence this. Last week we heard that a lot of the environmental data that the international panel was working with had either been was either fraudulent or was misinterpreted. So it's hardly surprising that we didn't have a more positive outcome in Copenhagen. And I think this is perhaps a result of an aggressive green policy being implemented. And we really ought to be focusing on the real problems that are important for our citizens. Then, of course, if we were to continue on this path, we would stop throwing away our taxpayers' money. And fourthly, I think we ought to have a more sensible discussion about how we can get cheaper access to energies and perhaps focus on nuclear energy. Ladies and gentlemen, when I talk to my voters, they're very surprised at the kind of issues we discuss here without focusing on their own real problems.
Gracias, colega. Tiene un minuto ahora.
Thank you. I'd now like to hand the floor for 1 minute to Mrs. Marisa Matias.
Thank you, President. What we saw in Copenhagen were in fact steps backwards rather than